Have you ever looked back months after making an important decision and just wish you could go back, press the reset button, maybe start over with the knowledge that you've gained? Although it may be true that some lessons are best learned the hard way, preparing for success on eBay does not have to be a complete learn by failure experience. So yes, you might have to pay for some of your education, but you can definitely make the startup process a lot easier if you are willing to do your homework. So what's up, guys? I'm Josh the Bama Jaybird, and this is Bama Jaybird Resell. Today we're going to be talking about 3 important steps that I believe everyone should take before wading into the depths of selling online on eBay or any other platform for that matter. We will also take a look at what sold later in the video, and I'm giving you a timestamp. If you'll look in the description, you will find where that portion begins. So if you want to skip on to that part, I completely understand. But for those of you that are interested in the topic, let's just go ahead and jump right in. So like I said, number 1, every aspiring reseller should start by doing their homework. Yeah, I know this probably makes it sound a lot less fun and more like going to school, but trust me, you're going to thank me later if you do this. So start by watching plenty of quality reseller content. And while you're watching, pay attention for points that you hear repeated over and over. In fact, you may even want to take notes about these ideas and these suggestions, because if everyone's talking about it, it is probably really important. You also want to write down some ideas along the way that you get about what products interest you the most so that you can begin working toward making the decisions about what to sell. We'll talk about that in a moment. Also, write down any other questions you may have. And what you will find is, as you begin to engage more and more with the reselling community through chats and social media, through live sessions and live hangouts, and also by commenting on the videos, you will have an opportunity to pose these questions and get feedback from experienced resellers that will help you build a foundation before you get started. Other resellers will undoubtedly be your number 1 resource for knowledge and education as you begin this new adventure. They were for me. I depended on them tremendously, and even in many ways I still do, because I'm learning all the time as I watch videos and I read the comments and interact with other resellers. All right, so number 2, as you begin learning about reselling in general, you got to begin the process of determining what kind of reseller you want to be. So there's several directions that you could take. There's 3 in particular that I want to highlight. You can be a niche seller, you can be a category seller, or you may prefer to be an everything seller. Now we'll start with the niche. If you are exploring the idea of only selling in a particular niche, this does have some advantages. Niches include things like maybe selling jeans or selling action figures, video games, books, hats, you name it. If it's a single, well-defined product or item that you can focus on, we would refer to that as being a niche seller. Now, one of the advantages of being a niche seller is that you can focus all of your learning on that one product and hopefully in a short period of time become somewhat of an expert on that item, so that you know exactly what to look for, so you know when you find the right brand, the right version, that you know it's going to be a good item to buy for resale. Now, the second avenue would be a category reseller. Now, these will be very similar to a niche, but a little bit broader. So instead of maybe just action figures or a particular action figure type, you would maybe source all toys, because toys are something you're passionate about. Or maybe instead of just jeans, you dive into all clothing. Maybe another example could be that instead of just sourcing video games, you do all electronics. And so there's lots of different avenues. Categories are more broad, and yet they still have a greater focus than being an everything seller. And I think if you start out as a niche and work your way toward everything, then it's a natural progression to first expand deeper into the category that you start out in with your niche before you move into everything else. Now, the third option, which is where I started and where a lot of resellers start, is to focus on pretty much everything, which has a lot of challenges because, you know, sometimes you can have a knowledge that is a mile wide, so to speak, but only maybe an inch deep. And so trying to mine down into so many different categories and so many different niches can be challenging when you're first getting started. And that's where, again, going back to point number 1, that being willing to do your homework really comes into play. So no matter what direction you go, and let me back up really quick, and I'll say this. When you are an everything seller, it's just like it sounds. anything that has sufficient resale value and also has a strong market, you're going to be buying those items. So you're going to pretty much, survey the entire field at a yard sale, a thrift store, a garage sale, a flea market, an estate sale, wherever you go to source, you will be looking at literally everything. Now, there may be some areas that you want to eliminate that you just absolutely do not like. Some people will not mess with clothes or will not mess with glass, that type of thing. But in general, an everything seller is going to buy anything that has a good profit to be made. Now, again, I started to say this a moment ago, but no matter what decision that you go with, no matter what direction you go, you will need to research and learn about what sells and what doesn't sell for your niche, for your category, or for just everything in general. You also need to learn how to comp prices. That's going to be very important. Using the eBay app, you need to figure out how to determine whether or not it is a good price for an item that you're buying so that there's plenty of money left to be made on it. And number 3, you need to make sure that you learn to use the app in order to check sell-through rates so that you know that there is a strong market for the item that you are looking to purchase to resell online. Now, number 3, you need to begin thinking about how to brand yourself as an eBay reseller. Branding is often overlooked, and there are many out there who may disagree with me and think this is a trivial idea. But branding is a critical early step, in my opinion, for future success. So you need to begin by creating a unique signature name for your reselling business. I think that is of utmost importance. This needs to be something that can also be used on social media accounts and other selling platforms in the future if you decide to expand beyond eBay and begin to cross-list on multiple selling platforms like Mercari, Poshmark, Depop, you name it. You will use social media to push your brand, to advertise things you have for sale, and many social media accounts like Instagram also provide an avenue for making other sales over time as you build a community and you build a following. Now, that being said, so take for instance my name, Bama, Jaybird, Resell. So on the front end, you have Bama, which relates to where I live. On the back end, you have Resells, which talks about what I do. And then in the middle, Jaybird is a reference not only to my middle name, which is Jay, but also to the nickname that my dad was given as a young boy and that I heard a lot growing up. So anyway, it has personal connection. It has connection to where I live. It has connection to what I do. And in my mind, at least, it was very unique and I thought it to be creative. That's what you need to do. People need to know when they hear your name, they need to be able to picture what it is you do, what it is you sell. It needs to bring something to mind that calls you to mind for them. And they also often include personal elements that connect to where you live or maybe to something that is personal about who you are. And that's important because it needs to be something that represents you well, but is also very unique and creative to a degree. So it's important, like I said, to be clever. It's important to be creative. It's important that it's easy to remember. And in doing so, make sure that people you got to make sure that people not only remember it, but that if they're searching for you, it's something that is relatively easy to type in. Because believe it or not, that can hinder people being able to find your eBay store, your social media accounts, because they may mess up a spelling, mess up a number sequence. Like weird spellings probably need to be avoided, or too many symbols, excess numbers, that type of stuff whenever possible. Trust me, you will thank me later. Trust me again on this, it is a good idea not to go down that road. So try not to let your creativity generate confusion for your audience. All right. So namecheck.com is a really good resource that you can use to kind of vet potential names or potential branding for your eBay store. And they will let you know not only if that is available on eBay, but also if it is available on other social media and other reselling sites, so that you can hopefully hone in on a name that is very unique and that you don't have to make changes to in order to use on other platforms. So one more time, in regards to branding, I want to just address why this is important. Having one common name that applies not only to your eBay store and other potential reselling platforms in the future, but also to social media for business makes everything way more streamlined and easier for people and buyers to follow your store and more likely for them to return. And ultimately, that's what we want, right? We want people not only to show up, we want them to keep showing up. We want them to keep buying. We want them to keep visiting our social media. And so branding, again, to me, branding is way overlooked, very important, and it can contribute greatly to the success in the future of your store. Maybe not on day one, but if you're looking to grow your brand, to grow your identity online, to grow your identity in the reselling community, then it is important that it be something that people remember. All right, guys, so if you've stuck around with me this long, then there's a good chance that you probably just fell asleep. Well, hopefully not, but, anyway. Seriously, though, if you're not already subscribed, I'd love for you to go ahead and take care of that. And while you're at it, you could hit the notification bell so that you'll know when I am posting new content. Also, maybe take a look at some of my other content. Hit the like button. That always helps our channel to grow and be more successful and reach a greater audience. And also, any questions or comments you may have, go ahead and drop those below, and I will do my best to get back to you and respond, and would love to know what you're thinking. So none of those things are going to cost you anything, by the way. They're all free. They just help my channel to grow and reach more people. All right, so let's shift gears and take a look at some items that have sold recently, and hopefully give you some ideas of some items that you can be on the lookout for. What's up, guys? So 6 quick flips for $269.38. First one up, Boston, 4 CDs. This is from the big music buyout. This includes Don't Look Back, Third Stage, Walk On, and their self-titled album. These sold for $23 plus shipping, and I have about $1.20 in them. Next up, I have a Nike Dry Fit, or Thermafit actually, hoodie. This is Alabama Crimson Tide. Yes, it is. And this sold for $24 plus shipping. Gave $2 for this. Next up, I have another hoodie. This is a Ralph Lauren polo. Notice it's got a nice blue and red stripe, and this sold for $26 plus shipping. Gave $5.99 for that one. Next up, another one of those 25 to 30 cent music buys out of that big lot. This is Firefall, and this is brand new, still sealed. I sold this for $39.99 plus shipping. So next up, I have a pair of Tory Burch sandals. These are kind of like the Roman style, just have some metal on it. Very nice, 8.5. I got these at Goodwill for $4.99, and these sold for $38 plus shipping. And the last item, also a pair of shoes. This is a pair of Bass Weegens penny loafers. These are just almost like new. They're in excellent condition, smaller size, and 8EE, but this is the second time I have sold these shoes. This time for $48 plus shipping, and I gave $9.99 for these. These sold the first time for $50, and they didn't fit, so they returned them. But hopefully, they keep them this time. All right, guys, so that's all I got for you on this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it's not very long. Hope that you got something beneficial out of it. And don't you ever forget, I love you, God loves you, and whatever you do, don't you ever, ever give up. See you on the next one.